More consumers are considering sitting out of this generation than ever before, and it makes sense. There are a lot of potential distractions to enjoy now and in the near future that could possibly hurt the sales of both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. In the long run, both consoles will undoubtedly hit their stride and provide unparalleled interactive fun. But for the time being, there are some very real and a few not officially real challengers approaching. These are the speed bumps Microsoft and Sony will have to cruise over on their way to a prosperous next gen.
Number 10. Social browser games.
There's no more welcoming console than the one you already own, and with advances in HTML the past few years, more and more titles can be played via just about anything you can get your hands on. PCs, Macs, tablets, smartphones, you name it. If it has a browser, it has potential. The genre is currently led by farming simulators and collectible card games, but the tech will eventually accommodate first-person shooters and more. When that happens, the world of social gaming could take a big chunk out of the profits for next-gen consoles.
Number 9. Ouya.
Sure, trying to compete with next-gen systems using nothing more than the power of an Android phone would seem to be a fool's errand, but even though sales of both the hardware and games for the Ouya have been unremarkable, its successful $3.7 million Kickstarter campaign proved that people could get excited about an open game system that lets them play cell phone and homebrew games on their television. Are other inexpensive micro consoles like the UNU and the Mad Catz Mojo preparing to wipe the big three from our collective memories? Well, we can't say that we're 100% absolutely positively sure that there's no way that will happen, so who knows?
Number 8. Apple Box.
Apple has already taken over phones and tablets, so the living room TV seems to be a natural next target. Apple already has everything they need for a game console: their App Store, their online game center, a library of huge titles, a stable of developers, and $100 billion to finance it all. Their Apple TV device is already only 2 steps away from being a game console. All it needs is more processing power and a controller. If they choose to fashion a console, they have the resources to make it the dominant entity of the coming generation.
Number 7. iOS.
iOS challenges next-gen on the basis of convenience. Smartphones and tablets have dominated our daily lives for years. It's second nature to play a quick mobile game during a commercial or while waiting for the bus. Those of us already deeply invested in games may not mind spending $400 or $500 on the promise of a bigger, better future. But what about everyone else? Why spend that much money when there are hundreds of games available for that thing in your pocket, backpack, or briefcase? These games aren't just fluff either, as titles like Infinity Blade, Sword and Sorcery, and Year Walk have proven.
Number 6. Amazon.
In the past decade, Amazon has grown from a modest online bookstore to an internet juggernaut, selling every conceivable product, streaming music and video, offering payment services, and producing the Kindle, which itself has evolved from a simple e-reader to an affordable competitor to Apple's iPad. We're not entirely sure what the Titan has planned for the games industry, but they're staffing up, actively hiring developers and partnering with studios. Whether their eyes are set on streaming games, making the Kindle a more significant gaming platform, or manufacturing their own console, they've got the muscle to do something big. And it's worth keeping a watchful eye on what they announce.
Number 5. Wii U.
After 10 months of dismal sales, it seems clear that the Wii U will never accomplish what the Wii has. Why did we let such a miserable machine on this list? Well, after the miraculous recovery of the 3DS, we know it's never safe to count Nintendo out. Games, above all else, still sell consoles, and for the Wii U, those are coming. Just look at X for a second. The Wii U's fortune might still change, and the unconventional, underpowered console may again eat away at Sony and Microsoft's potential buyers.
Number 4. Steam.
Not only has Valve created the most widely used digital distribution platform for PC games this past generation, but it also flung open the door of possibilities with its newly announced SteamOS. Not to mention its own lineup of game properties, where it's a safe bet that any new entry would be nothing short of outstanding. If Valve were to make the next entry of either Left 4 Dead, Portal, or even Half-Life exclusive to the Steam platform on PCs and Steam boxes, it would pose a significant strike against the PS4 and Xbox One.
Number 3. Media diversions.
TV shows have come a long way critically and commercially in the past few years. Previous records have been shattered by shows like The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and Game of Thrones. The box office continues to pump out huge superhero movies, franchises, and event films on almost a monthly basis. Priced at $400 and $500 for the next generation of consoles, a Netflix or Hulu account is a fraction of the investment with arguably far more hours of entertainment attached. Price point aside, finding spare time during a busy school or work week can be almost impossible. When that precious moment of free time does finally arrive, our minds and bodies just might be wandering elsewhere.
Number 2. Last Gen.
We can't speak for each and every one of you, but there are plenty of games on our 2013 wish list that we haven't made any time to play. Games like The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, BioShock Infinite, and Grand Theft Auto V could only exist after years of their developers discovering what was really possible on current-gen hardware. And it's really exciting to see the results. Sometimes it's more exciting than a potentially underwhelming new crop of games built for unproven systems that developers are just beginning to understand. Will consumers prefer the best of the old over the worst of the new? With games like Watch Dogs now steering clear of the launch, it's certainly possible.
Number 1. PC.
The venerable PC is no crusty curmudgeon, but a slumbering elder god, dreaming of domination, with its tendrils intertwined in most of the previous entries on this list. Social games are there with your browser, and the best Android games are usually available. Mobile gaming's thin fingers escape, for now, as does Nintendo's impressive pedigree. But the last gen and all that delicious steam Valve's venting, the PC is there, waiting, ready for you to overclock, install an operating system, play on a dedicated server, configure your graphics card any way you want, twiddle with INI files, and revel in the freedom of open systems and the promise of modability for now and forever.
As I purify these waters, the servants of filth will surely be still.
With new consoles looming, we look to the GT community to get their take on the biggest threat to next gen. Henny Sonic is worried nothing's going to innovate, writing, "I think one challenge is innovation. People are getting bored of poor quality games and mass production of sequels." Nick thinks someone will always be left out in the cold and says, "The most notable challenge is the ever-expanding gaming audience, which is almost too big. From the competitive online gamers to the single-player purist, motion gaming, and the lighthearted youth and casual gamer, it's becoming a difficult task to satisfy all tastes under one box. All I know is someone is going to be let down or forgotten." Lastly, DRD 7 of 14 has other games on his mind, mentioning GTA 5 Online, if it ever works completely.